Hello everybody, today's video will be a bit different because it will be about a PC game called Borderlands. You might know it, it's pretty famous. I wanted to do a stupid challenge on it. I decided to play through the game using Lilith, the siren, and to do damage only using her Phasewalk. When you go in and out of it, you do a bit of damage to nearby enemies in an AoE. So it does some damage and it's possible to win the game using only that, kinda. I also decided to not use any shields or class mods or grenades or any kind of weapon. This challenge was very long and extremely frustrating at the end. You'll see why. I died a lot of times, but that is not the worst part of the run. Anyway, at the start of the game, you don't have access to your active skill, the Phasewalk, so you have to play regularly until you reach level 5, where you can learn your skill, and from there we can start our challenge. Until there, I just used guns and whatever I could to farm XP. I did some quests, but nothing too important, so we can tackle that with Phasewalk. After a little while, I reached level 5, and now I can learn Phasewalk. I decided to buy a bunch of healing kits so I can heal, since I'm gonna take a lot of damage because I don't have a shield. Our first boss is Ninetoes, and he is not very easy because without shields he does a lot of damage and I have to be careful not to die because I can't use the second wind because I can't do anything while I'm down. He also comes with two dogs, but they are not that big of a deal because for some reason they get stuck somewhere and they don't attack me for most of the fight. As you can see, I'm forced to run around and hide behind some walls until my skill recharges and then I can use it to do some damage. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, my active skill has a very long cooldown of 36 seconds. We will lower it later with some perks and skills, but for now we have to deal with it. Most of the fights are gonna be like this, where I cheese the enemy and wait around while my active skill recharges. Thankfully for us, after a while I can learn a skill that will make this much easier, but that can only happen at level 11, so for a while we are stuck with just base Phasewalk. Also, while I'm Phasewalking, the enemies drop their aggro and you can't take any damage, so it is good for repositioning and later on for healing, and you'll see why. Ninetoes goes pretty well, all things considered. He is a long fighter, but I only die once, which is surprising. I expected to die a lot more here. He is usually quite problematic, at least for me. And after a few more phase walks, I can finish him and proceed with the story. The next obstacle in our journey is Bonehead, and he's pretty much like the previous boss. He's just a dude with a gun that shoots you, and this one is a higher level, so I do less damage to him, and it takes forever to take out because I can just do a little bit of damage through his shield Unfortunately, I don't have anything to remove the shield quite yet, and I'm only level 9, so I do less damage to him because he is level 11. And in this game, levels influence how much damage you take and how much damage you deal. Anyway, after a long time, I defeat him, and finally I reach level 11 and get Radiance. This skill allows you to electrocute enemies while you are in Phasewalk. Here you can see it in action against those alpha skags who got stuck on top of each other. As you can see, the electrocution lasts for a long time and it deals a lot of damage if you let it do its course. The next boss is this Roid Rage Psycho, and I'm trying to lure him down in the hole, so at least I can wait around while my skill recharges without having to worry about him. I initially thought that my attempt failed, but here, as you can see, it actually worked, and now he's stuck there. I just have to worry about a few midgets who chase me down, but those two get in the hole, and after a few more phase walks, I can take care of them. The rest of the fight against the guy is just me waiting for my skill to recharge so I can phase walk and do some damage. As you can see, his HP is getting quite low after only a couple of phase walks because the radiant skill is doing its work. At this point I have 4 points in radiance, which is almost max, and it deals some decent damage. The damage from radiance also scales with your level, so we are not gonna get outscaled too bad by the game. Here the boss dies, but I did not realize because I was hiding behind some crates. Anyway, I go down to loot the stuff, but I get killed by this guy. The bad part about the radiant skill is that enemies who are immune to electric damage take no damage from it. Anyway, next boss is Sledge, and he is quite hard. I died many times trying to fight him in the arena, so I decided to chase him through the doors, but unexpectedly he got through the doors and he is now stuck in this lobby. I take the opportunity and I can cheese him by going near him and electrocuting him with radiance and running away and hiding behind some walls. His HP pool is quite large, and the radiance does not do that much damage since it's electric damage. It would be better if it was fire damage, but that's how it is. I will just cut to where Sledge dies, so we don't have to waste a lot of time here. After a day of in-game fighting, I finally am able to use one last Phasewalk to finish Sledge, and with that I can collect the key and get on. This part, unfortunately, is where we can't use only Phasewalk. You have to kill 15 bandits, and 11 of them are on the ground, so you can defeat them with Phasewalk. But unfortunately, 4 bandits are on top of this barn and can't be fought with Phasewalk, so I had to use guns. Once they are done, I can finish the quest and rescue that guy. The next quest is about taking down some cars, and it's not super easy because they are very fast and I can't really keep up with them, and they run away as soon as they see me. So I had to get a little bit creative with my car and get their car stuck so I can destroy it with a phasewalk. Here's some examples, but I will not show all 8 of them because that would be quite boring. I can also use the fact that their cars have friendly fire, so the bandits actually deal damage to them, and I can use that to speed up the destruction. Next boss, I died a lot of times. In the first few times that I fought him, I destroyed the other red car. There are usually two of them. Now there's only one. I don't want to destroy this one because I'm not sure if more will spawn once there are no cars. Here I go in second wind, but thankfully I electrocuted a thug earlier, so he dies and I can revive. After that, I spend some time in my car so that my Phasewalk skill can get off cooldown. And once it does, I get out and I use it again. And with just two Phasewalk, the boss dies and explodes. Next is a mini boss who also got stuck somehow on this rock, so I can just take him out quite easily with the Phasewalk. Next up is a mini boss who got stuck behind this rock for some reason, so he can easily be defeated with Phasewalk. You just have to wait for it to recharge, but that's not a big deal. At this point, I have access to multiple artifacts that can change the type of damage that my Phasewalk does. So, for example, I can change it to the corrosive type, so it's more effective against mechanical enemies. That can be useful, but it does not matter all that much. At level 21, I get access to the Inner Glow skill. It regenerates 1% of my max HP for every second in Phasewalk. The next boss is Krom, and unfortunately I had a class mod equipped. If you have no shield or class mod equipped and you pick one up, the game automatically equips it. For the shield is easier to see because there's a new bar over your HP, but for the class mods you only have the word catalyst or another word near your level, and I did not realize that it was there. It doesn't really matter much. I'm not even sure what the Catalyst class mod does. Best case scenario is some cooldown reduction, but that doesn't really matter. I would just have to wait it a bit more. Next up is another mini boss, and this one is much harder because he has a rocket launcher, and there are also two rocket launcher turrets. Unfortunately, I cannot destroy the turrets because they are elevated on top of buildings, so I can't reach them. But I can reach him, and after a while, I can finally finish him and progress to the rest of the game. This mini boss was surprisingly hard. I did not think I would have died so many times. There are also plenty of bandits around who can be quite annoying. The next boss is one of my favorites. It's the Rakk Hive. It's a giant elephant thing that spawns racks from its back. And I was quite worried about this fight because he has a lot of HP. Fortunately for me, Phasewalk does some pretty decent damage against him, as you can see. His range attack is easy to dodge, but his stomp is harder. Fortunately, it does not do that much damage. The biggest thing to worry about is the racks that it spawns, because those can deal some serious damage, and they are not easy to kill with just a Phasewalk. I have to hide around quite a bit because I don't want to die, Thankfully, the explosive racks mostly miss me, so they are not that big of a problem. I try to hide behind walls and spam some potions as soon as I can and wait for the cooldown to reset. After a few more Phasewalk, I'm almost done with him, and so I get a little bit more cocky, and I shouldn't really have done that because Rax can take me out very easily, and that's exactly what happens. I get knocked down, but thankfully the boss dies from radiance, so I revive and I can win the fight. Next up is more card extraction. This time around my radiance does a lot more damage, so I can take care of the cars without any issues. Once again, radiance saves me with a second wind, and I can finish destroying more cars and get access to Flynt. He is one of the last bosses, and he is kinda tough. You have to fight a gauntlet before him, but I'm gonna skip over that because it's easy. And he has a shotgun that shoots rockets for some reason, or grenades maybe, and he does some serious damage. As you can see, he can almost one-shot me. Thankfully, in this game, it seems like you can't really get one-shotted from full health to zero. The game usually leaves you with very low HP, but gives you a little bit of invisibility frames after that, so you can run away. This fight is also quite long because he's surprisingly tanky for a skinny old man, and he does massive damage, so I can't be too aggressive. After a bunch of Phasewalks, he finally goes down, but for some reason I get thrown off the edge. Not sure what happened. The next boss, I guess, mini boss, is this guy, and he is quite a letdown. As I said earlier, corrosive damage can be quite good against mechanical enemies, and he is considered a mechanical enemy. So I equipped that kind of Phasewalk, and now between a radiance and the explosion, I can two-shot his heads, and he is not that much more tanky. So with just a few more Phasewalks, they all go down. Once he is defeated, we can proceed with the rest of the story, and not much happens until we reach the final boss. Here I'm gonna show my last build at level 32. It's Inner Glow to regen HP, hard to get to lower the cooldown, and unfortunately against the final boss, Radiance does no damage. I take Slayer because you can crit him actually, and hit and run to increase the duration of Phasewalk. I didn't explain much of the story, but don't think it's needed because it's quite an old game, so you can play it yourselves if you want to know about it. Anyway, this is the final boss, and he is a big pain in the you know what. As I said, he is immune to radiance, so I have to deal damage when I enter and exit the Phasewalk, and compared to his HP, that damage is extremely low. This fight took absolutely forever to win. It took me over 3 hours to defeat him on the successful attempt. Fortunately, he resets only if he takes you out. If he knocks you over the edge, he does not reset. Otherwise, this fight would be almost impossible. As I said earlier, you can actually get a crit against him if you Phasewalk against him while his tongue is sticking out. So that's why I took a Slayer to do a little bit more damage there. Hopefully it works. Anyway, I'm gonna skip most of the fight until he is almost dead. I'm just gonna repeat this process of walking around while he shoots at me, and hopefully I don't die. I had to reset a couple of times, but thankfully it was quite early. After he knocks me down one more time and I'm almost out of money, I can finally finish him with one last Phasewalk. And with that, the destroyer is destroyed. And we completed the game by mostly using only Phasewalk. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. I know it's a bit different than usual, but I don't really have an audience, so I can do whatever I want. If you don't mind, like the video, share it, subscribe, ring the bell, and comment if you want to see something in particular or you have any kind of feedback. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching and see you next time.